How did the Shade Room start?
The Shade Room started as a side hustle. I was broke. I was on the verge of eviction. I needed a hustle real quick because I was working on the script. They wasn't paying me that much money. I started it as like my friend dared me to start it. She was like, you should, because I would be like calling her like, girl, you know what Chris Brown did? I know exactly the time period that I started it. Yeah, I was like, girl, you know what Chris Brown did or whatever. And and they were all in law school, and I had graduated from college, and I couldn't get into law school. I couldn't get into grad school. I graduated with 2.8 GPA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shout out to us 2.8 GPAs.
Okay,
but so then I started the platform as a side hustle, and it just went viral 1.5 weekend. Crazy.
1.5 weekend?
You know why? Tammy Roman posted it
Shout
on her story.
Roman.
She posted it a week after I started it. It went crazy. I forgot. I think after she posted it, I went up to 30,000, and it was just like, from there, it was just crazy.
Crazy. I like got 30 million now.
Disclaimer, this commentary is not an invitation to exhibit xenophobia or anti-Blackness. My intention here is to critique how the image of Blackness is at times seemingly unprotected or even undermined via the Shade Room's content choices. The recent uproar surrounding the Shade Room's decision to post a birthday message for Donald Trump, particularly with an image that initially included a pistol, has ignited a firestorm of criticism and left a bitter taste for many within the Black community. This isn't just another instance of a celebrity gossip page pushing boundaries for many. It represents a profound breach of trust and a significant misstep in a highly charged socio-political landscape. The controversy is layered with irony, given that the Shade Room's founder, Angelica Nwandu, is of Nigerian descent. This fact underscores the complex dynamics of cultural representation and ownership in media, particularly when the content platform caters primarily to the Black community.
To say we're a mirror for the culture, and I felt justified in that for a very long time until the platform reached this level of influence that I began to say, well, should we be influencing the culture rather than being a reflection of the culture? It's a burden that's placed on Black media to rise above. It's a privilege to be burdened, I'll say. But in year 10, I'm like, yeah, we got to do something different. We really got to, be more responsible with the influence, but also change the narrative of culture as well. And I feel like now we may have a position to do that. They may go to other platforms, but I feel like it doesn't matter now. Engagement is not my favorite. It's more so, what are we doing with our
Critics have long argued that the Shade Room's content, often focused on sensationalism and drama, can contribute to a negative portrayal of Black individuals and reinforce harmful stereotypes. The Trump birthday post, especially in light of his documented history of racist comments towards Black people.
Well, there are multiple cries of racism aimed at the president tonight after he used an expletive to describe several countries that are Black majority and lauded the country of Norway, which is majority white. And now even Republicans are calling for an apology. What had been a day of negotiations on an immigration deal.
Deal or no deal, Senator?
No deal yet. There's got to be one because we're running out of time.
Turned into another PR debacle for the president after word leaked out about comments he made in an Oval Office meeting. The Washington Post first breaking the news that when Trump learned of a plan that would restore protections for immigrants from countries like Haiti, El Salvador, and several African nations, the president apparently growing frustrated, leading him to say, "Why are we having all these people from expletive-hole countries come here?" The Post reporting the president then went on to say that the U.S. should bring in more people from countries like Norway. The White House did not verify that the president made those statements, but it has not denied them either.
Even people of the diaspora labeling countries as shithole countries, it just felt like a different affront to the very community the platform claims to serve. However, for some, the controversial post was less surprising when considering the political leanings of a segment of the Black community. It has been noted that a significant portion of Black immigrants, particularly those from certain African and Caribbean nations, tend to hold more conservative social and economic views and may lean Republican or vote that way.
The Trump administration is expanding its travel ban now to 6 additional countries. All immigrants from Myanmar, Eritrea, Kyrgyzstan, and Nigeria will be banned, and green card lotteries will be restricted from Sudan and Tanzania.
As you see here, most of the new countries are in Africa. The move comes after President Trump's original ban on several countries Most are largely Muslim. Nigerians are taking the new ban especially hard, given what they thought, which is that they were close and had close ties with the United States.
They are curious about why this happened. Our Stephanie Busari has this from Lagos.
Nigeria has long considered itself a strong ally of the United States, which is why news that had been added to the travel ban came as a shock in Africa's most populous country and largest economy. Officials here immediately pointed to Nigeria's partnership with the US in its fight against terrorism as a reason against adding the country to the travel ban list. But the country's ties extend far beyond that. As well as being a strong military partner and ally in Nigeria's fight against terror group Boko Haram, the US is also a major trading partner with Nigeria and has diplomatic relations going back to the 1960s. The Trump administration has defended the expanded travel ban, saying it is important for national security and that some of these countries simply have not met US security standards. President Buhari's administration has responded by setting up a committee to work with the US government and Interpol to ensure that Nigeria complies with global security standards, a spokesman said in a statement. Nigeria remains committed to maintaining productive relations with the United States and other international allies, especially on matters of global security. Still, on the streets of Lagos and across Africa, the ban has been met with anger and disbelief.
That's absurd. It shouldn't fly. We should be allowed to go into the United States. What about those that want to do business and also do trades and very important stuff there?
When it was first introduced 3 years ago, the travel ban quickly became known as the Muslim ban by the president's critics. The expanded ban, which now includes Nigeria, Eritrea, Tanzania and Sudan, has now been dubbed the African ban because it primarily targets African nations. US lawmakers have criticized the expansion as discriminatory and racist. Joe Neguse, a Colorado Democrat in the US Congress, lashed out at the ban on Twitter, saying, "As a son of Eritrean refugees, let me be clear. The president's travel ban on African countries contradicts our American values and the promise and refuge our country has offered to immigrants and refugees for centuries. It is wrong and we must oppose it." The ban does not affect non-immigrant visas issued for tourism, medical or educational reasons, but American citizens with spouses in these countries may now find it difficult to apply for their partner to join them in the US.
This demographic's political alignment often differs from the overwhelmingly Democratic leanings of Black Americans, whose families have been in the U.S. for generations. Furthermore, it has been reported that the Shaderoom was present at a Black conservative party held at the White House, suggesting a pre-existing connection or at least an engagement with conservative political circles.
It's a media outlet with a huge Black audience that could end up being highly influential in this election. The Shaderoom started as this kind of TMZ-style gossip page, but has become a massive platform with millions of viewers and a demographic that both candidates want to try to win over. But the meteoric growth has not been without some controversy. We spoke with the founder of the Shaderoom about the outlet's rise and the responsibility.
The Shaderoom.
Things between Erica Mena and Safari have been pretty quiet lately.
What started as a celebrity gossip Instagram page rooted in the Black community, once even called Instagram's TMZ, is rapidly transforming into a full-fledged media company, pushing into original programming and serious political coverage.
The Shaderoom was started on accident. It was a dare from one of my friends to do something with my life because I was unemployed.
Angie Wandu says she founded the Shaderoom broke and down on her luck 10 years ago.
It blew up. It got over 10,000 followers in the first month and a half.
Wow.
6 months in, it was 500,000. And from there, it's constantly grown.
We went to South Carolina and sat down with former VP and 2020 president candidate Joe Biden.
Now, Wandu's team says the Shaderoom has 40 million followers across their platforms. The site still looks more like TMZ than the New York Times, and posts often use information from other media outlets. But the Shaderoom reportedly brings in millions of dollars a year, although the company would not confirm revenue numbers with NBC News. It's even joined the White House press pool.
Traveling with Vice President Kamala Harris on Air Force Two.
I am Kamala Harris, and this is a special TSR Investigates.
That more serious tone, sometimes clashing with the company's social media roots. The Instagram page running sponsored content like this, alongside more newsy posts, and facing some criticism, especially after a post in 2023 about federal aid for Maui wildfire victims.
The shade room, when it comes to information, is one of the worst things that has ever happened to the Black community.
The post accused of underplaying President Biden's wildfire response and not clearly sharing the entirety of federal support.
How do you make sure you have safety measures in place so that there's no misinformation put out through the shade room?
If you go online, people will say if it's not on the shade room, we don't believe it, right? Because being reputable is something that is really important to us. One of the things that we've done is all of our writers now have to have journalism degrees. We also hired a political consultancy firm, so all of our political posts are filtered through that.
As it continues to grow, and with a historic election coming up in November, the Shade Room offers a unique conduit to many Black voters. Its followers and audience called Roomies help make up a demographic that proved crucial to Biden's election in 2020, one that now both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are aggressively courting. Support for both Biden and Harris have traditionally been strong amongst Black voters. But NBC's latest polling showing 32% of those voters currently disapproving of President Biden. As Kamala tries to re-energize the campaign for president, the spotlight will turn to platforms like the Shade Room and its massive audience.
Even just the fact that we are a part of the press pool, even the fact that they have opened the doors to the Shade Room and platforms like it shows you that they understand the power of the Black vote.
We asked the Shade Room about how they're going to be covering Kamala Harris's campaign now that she has declared. In a statement, Angie Wandu told us, quote, "We are going to cover her speaking engagements, audience, and celebrity opinions, her policies in the same way we will do for the opposing candidate."
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
This perspective offers a potential, albeit controversial, lens through which to understand why the Shade Room might have felt comfortable making such a post, perhaps catering to or reflecting a segment of its audience or its own leadership's leanings that are more aligned with conservative politics. Adding to these concerns, recent reports, including one from Media Matters, have highlighted the Shade Room's pattern of amplifying right-wing narratives and conspiracy theories. For instance, the platform recently quoted Republican lawmakers like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, along with Senators Ted Cruz, Mike Braun, and Chuck Grassley, as they promoted unfounded claims about a central bank digital currency conspiracy. This theory, which poses as a global cable cabal seeking to control citizens through digital currencies, mirrors themes common in right-wing disinformation that often suggests powerful, non-white, non-American groups, including Jewish elites, are attempting to undermine American society. Critics like Jahan Jones argue that for these particular senators who have actively blocked voting rights measures and aligned themselves with Trump to highlight alleged threats to democracy while pushing such theories is highly ironic. This raises questions about whether the Shade Room is unwittingly or intentionally broadcasting right-wing conspiracy theories to its vast following, further complicating its perceived role and responsibilities within the Black community. Amidst this, while acknowledging that Black people are not a monolith and individuals have the autonomy to vote how they choose, there's a strong sentiment that voting against your Black interests is crazy. This perspective makes it increasingly difficult for some to defend individuals or platforms like the Shade Room in the broader context of diaspora wars, which are often based on cultural differences and sometimes stem from disagreements over political alignment and perceived allegiances. The perceived betrayal by the Shade Room, particularly given the Trump administration's history, highlights the deep divisions that can arise when a platform or individual within the Black community is seen as aligning with forces perceived as detrimental to Black advancement and respect. This sentiment is often coupled with a rhetorical question directed at the platform itself. If the Shade Room understands the diversity within the Black community, why does it not sprinkle in more diverse and positive stories that could offer a more balanced and uplifting portrayal rather than consistently leaning into sensationalism or potentially divisive political narratives? These criticisms echo sentiments expressed by figures like recording artist Azealia Banks, who in 2022 publicly denounced the Shade Room's owner, Angelica Wandu, for allegedly prioritizing denigration of Black Americans over addressing severe issues in her home country of Nigeria, such as SARS and Boko Haram. Banks argued that Wandu lacked the courage to fight for her own and instead used Black American media to distract herself. While not endorsing Banks' personal attacks on Wandu's performance, her critique raises critical questions about the double standard depicted in the media and the Shade Room's social responsibility. The argument poses that while it's understandable for a United States-based platform to focus on American entertainment, the perceived lack of engagement with or even promotion of positive Nigerian American narratives or even entertainment from Nigeria suggests a possible exploitation of the Black American audience for profit without a reciprocal investment in broader community upliftment, particularly given Nwandu's heritage. Banks' outburst underscores a deep-seated frustration regarding platforms perceived as profiting from Black culture while sidestepping more impactful advocacy for the global Black diaspora. The initial inclusion of a pistol and the Shade Room's follow-up attempt to quietly remove it after backlash only intensified the outrage. In the age of digital receipts, the internet quickly captured and shared the original post, rendering the deletion futile and highlighting a perceived lack of accountability.
I had to unfollow the Shade Room, and I feel as though you should too. Now please stay with me. Now it kind of took me a while to realize what the Shade Room really was. Another CIA operative to destroy the Black community. But no, for real, like nothing positive like really comes from the Shade Room. Like the shit is just Black drama, Black fights, Black disagreements, and controversial talking points just to get Black people in the comment section going. And oh my God, celebrity gossip that nobody should give a fuck about. I mean, these niggas even have a Shade Room for teens. The fuck is that? It's like getting our kids used to the same detrimental brainwashing that the main page has done to adults. And I never really followed that shit because it just seems so weird to me. Like, hey kids, instead of like being a beneficial social media page for you and like caring about your mental, physical health and your well-being, like here's CJ So Cool talking shit about his ex, or here's Justin Bieber's PR team being denied that he got essayed by Sean Combs, or better yet, here's a list of celebrities Sean Combs accuses Cassie of being with. How is this in any way, shape, or form beneficial to Black teenagers in America? And I get like, oh, it's just for news to keep me updated and stuff. When's the last time you actually watched the news though? Shit really isn't beneficial though. Like this shit is just mindless entertainment to train your attention to seek out bullshit. Tell them niggas post Joy DeGruy or James Baldwin or Dick Gregory for a month. I promise you them niggas lose at least 80% of their interaction. And now look, I ain't telling you what to do. I'm not shaming you if you do follow them. Don't feel as though I am. Any of that. Like, look, do what you do. But it really gets to a point where you gotta open your eyes and see what's going on. These niggas don't care about shit but keeping your mind indulged in bullshit for clicks. And you think it'd be like some white people controlling this shit or doing this shit. But here's the kicker. The nigga's Nigerian. Then we want to have these talks about like this diaspora war and what's going on within the diaspora. And it's like somebody who's not a part of our culture is controlling one of the main media pages that portray what goes on in Black American culture. An Instagram page whose media a majority Black Americans consume. Shit ain't really for us. It's for them to push a narrative about who we are, how we are, and what we like to indulge ourselves in, man. Unfollow the fucking Shade Room.
The woman that runs and operates the Shade Room is a non-American Black woman. Y'all know how the non-American Black people feel about American Black people. I unfollowed them in 2018, and anytime I make an Instagram page, they get blocked immediately. I just know who you are if you are Black and you follow them, and if you are surprised that they posted this, because if you pay attention, they've been leaning that way for a long time, and people have been ringing the goddamn bell. I know what type of black you are if you follow them, if you engage with them. I'm sorry. And it's not a smart black.
Y'all, I am officially free from the shade room. It's only been a week, but I'm done with the shade room, okay? If I can go a week, I can go forever. When Chadwick Boseman died, Black Panther, I stopped like all blog sites for like a whole year, and then I just got sucked back into it, and I think TikTok too, because obviously I talk a lot of crap on here about like current events, like with celebrities and stuff. But the shade room, I just can't do them. Like I'm done with all blog sites, but the shade room, they are Trump supporters. It's very obvious. And they hate black people, like specifically black women. Whoever runs that, they strategically, you know, go after black women and try to belittle us. They post stuff that is like rage bait for like homophobia to get the comments stirred up. I just can't get with them. I don't like the way they always do with women who are at best. But they never do that with men. I don't know. That page is just so problematic. And they've been called out so many times and they be in everybody else's business, but they don't address, you know, the allegations against them. Okay, so I haven't been on Shade Room was the only like blog site that I really, you know, was current with, but I almost forgot that I wasn't even looking at them. Like today I was like, wow, it's too messy, okay? I'm trying to be my own business, okay? If I'm posting anything, I'm only posting my business from now on.
This is going to sound so crazy, but I am a true believer that whatever you consume is who you become. And I've elevated a lot in life these past few months. Like I've gotten into Duke, I'm in grad school now. My money is better than it's truly ever been. I am in my bag in a lot of different ways. But I truly believe that that is because I have been very picky with the content that I've been consuming, which has in turn resulted in me unfollowing the Shade Room and the Neighborhood Talk. Don't get me wrong, I will still be on the pages from time to time, but I've noticed that whenever I consume that level of content on a regular basis, because you have to think, these mess pages, they thrive on negativity. They thrive on other people doing bad. They thrive on gossip. And honestly, if I'm being real, that was a lot of the content that I was consuming for the past few years. But I would see a lot of those posts and I would just feel icky. I was just like, if you look at the comments, everybody is just so low vibrational. Everybody's talking about people that they don't know. You see a lot of envy in the comments. You see a lot of hate in the comments. And this is something that I would use as entertainment just when I was bored. I was like, oh, let's be messy. But I in turn noticed that that messiness was manifesting itself in my real life. And I know that it sounds silly because it's just like, why are you letting social media have that much of a hold on you? But it was a real thing. And when I stepped away from it and started to follow a lot more like positive people, inspirational things, people that I wanted to be like, that's when my life started to elevate. So if you are looking for a change, I would definitely recommend that you unfollow anything that makes you feel icky or makes you feel guilty at the end of the day, and prioritize content that makes you feel happy, whole, and something that aligns you with who you're truly trying to be in this world.
Outside of the Kardashians, the Shade Room might be the worst thing to ever happen to the Black community. They post these clickbait articles. They post one part of the story, especially when it comes to politics, one part of the story. And then I see for a week, y'all talking shit on y'all stories about the one part that they posted, never taking the time to actually read what the fuck is going on. So we're going to talk about what's happening with Maui and the $700 that Biden is sending. It's a national disaster, a hurricane, a flood, a wildfire, whatever. The governor of the state where that took place has to request that the president declared a national disaster. It is not automatically a national disaster. They do not automatically receive federal funds because something wild happens in the state. They have to request that from the president. If the president says, yes, that is some wild shit, we need to help y'all, it is then that is a national disaster, and it is then that FEMA will send funds immediately. Ow. The president does not have the power, I repeat, does not have the power to decide how much those funds are.
FEMA is an office within the Department of Homeland Security. Okay? They are funded by Congress. They are funded by Congress through regular appropriations and supplemental appropriations. Supplemental appropriations typically come around November at the end of hurricane season. Now, we are almost out of money for FEMA. Why? Because wild shit keeps happening because of climate change. If you think about all the wildfires, the hurricanes, things that have been happening over the past year, it is way more than normal. So our budget cannot keep up with the amount of money that FEMA is having to dole out. So once the governor reaches out to the president and says, hey, we need help, this is the kind of help we need. There are two kinds of help that the federal government can do. It can be emergency aid or it can be disaster aid. Emergency aid was like the coronavirus. Disaster aid are natural disasters. That's what's happening right now in Maui. When you have disaster aid, there are three types of aid that go out. One, individual. That's the $700 payments. Two, infrastructure for the local and state municipalities. And three, money for hazards. So getting things out of the road, restoring power lines, things like that. Okay. So the $700 that those people got are just for them. That does not count all the other aid that is already there on the ground. FEMA is meant to supplement, not be a replacement for local aid. So like 50,000 cots have gone out, 50,000 free meals, all this stuff has gone out for the people on the ground. Nor does that count the $12.1 billion that the Biden administration has asked Congress to approve to send over there. How do I know this? One, I read. Two, my mother works for FEMA. So when y'all are online making comments like, but we sent all this money to the Ukraine. Do you do foreign policy? Do you understand why we sent money to the Ukraine? I thought you never asked.
Shaderoom. The day I found out the owner of the Shaderoom was Nigerian, it all made sense. It all made sense. But I'll never forget that day. It all made sense. And Mike, I don't follow the Shaderoom. I don't keep up with the Shaderoom. No, none of that. But that made a lot of sense. To this day, I'm just like, the queen of mess had to come from a Nigerian.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to try to make this quick because I'm getting ready to lay down and go to sleep. But I wanted to say that I've noticed a lot of posts on TikTok of people calling out the Shade Room, criticizing the Shade Room. And I just want to say that shout out to Tariq Nasheed. He has been calling out the Shade Room for years, okay? The Shade Room is not Black American owned, okay? That is why they portray Black Americans in such a negative light, and that is why they push certain agendas that are harmful to Black Americans. And I've even made videos before about a lot of these so-called Black-owned blogs not being Black-owned at all or being owned by a Black person that is not from America. Okay, so again, they see themselves as different from us, the owners of the Shade Room do, and that is why they portray us the way that they do. But back to the harmful agendas. Look at how they post their headlines, okay? Like the whole thing with just hilarious, okay? Some of those, I don't know if it was the Shade Room, but I did see another so-called Black-owned blog post the title in a way that made it seem like Just Hilarious was crazy for saying that only women can have babies. And they were like, such and such, whatever that other person's name was, such and such educated her about blah, 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 blah. That is how they word the headlines. And they word them in a way to make it seem like people who are not going along with certain nonsensical agendas are crazy. Okay. And then the people will dogpile in the comments criticizing and attacking anyone that doesn't agree with those particular agendas. Another thing, they're very feminist, okay? And they demonize heterosexual Black men, heterosexual Black American men, okay? And any type of story that paints a heterosexual Black American man in a positive light, they tend to ignore those stories. Yet, if the person on the other side of that story is a female or someone who is not a heterosexual Black male, they will make that person be the good guy and make the heterosexual Black American male the bad guy without putting out the whole story so that people can form their own opinions. They're just very biased against any type of positivity for Black Americans, okay? They are very biased against heterosexual Black American men. They are very feminist, and I'm not talking about feminists in a way to protect women. I'm talking about extreme feminism that promotes unhealthy and dangerous behavior to women and then upholds them in their toxic behavior, okay? It only calls out men, but it upholds women. It's just a very destructive, everything they're pushing is destructive towards foundational Black American families, foundational Black American culture, anything to do with traditional households. And I understand there are different types of households. I'm not knocking anybody, but what I'm saying, anything that is a traditional, foundational Black American way of life that has proven to be healthy for our households, they attack it. And then again, like I said, you have all of these people. I don't even know where they come from. I guess maybe they bots. I don't know. People accuse me of being a bot all the time just because I don't agree with certain liberal agendas. I can't be real. I must not be a real person, or you know what I'm saying? Because how dare a Black person not go along with the liberal stuff we tell them to go along with? So I don't like to call people bots, but like, where do all of these people come from that believe in shit that ain't real? Like the people in the comments, like, you cannot reason with them. I don't even try, but you can't reason with them. Like they really get in there and argue against anybody that says a man can't have a baby. You can have all the evidence in the world showing that a particular woman that they like is guilty of something. They will dogpile on you. Can't nobody even suggest that Dwayne Wade is in the wrong for taking that child away from his mama. Just nothing. Anything that goes against these certain agendas. The Shade Room and all those other so-called Black-owned blogs. I've made several posts about it. But I'm glad y'all are starting to notice what's up with the Shade Room. Like I said, Tariq called him out years ago. So anyway, y'all have a blessed night. Peace out.
So given these ongoing discussions about media responsibility and community representation, what do you think is the ultimate impact of platforms like the Shade Room on the collective image and the political agency of Black Americans? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for listening to Books and Looks TV, and thank you so much for your support. I'll see you next time.